Hello. Today I want to talk to you about sweet peas. Last spring, in the first lockdown, I was given the gift of some sweet pea seedlings by a generous neighbour. Now, I am not particularly green-fingered, so this was a challenge to me to make sure that I actually kept them alive, let alone allowed them to flourish and flower. There were many things that I needed to consider to ensure that there was the right outcome. I needed to consider what kind of container to put the seedlings in. I needed to decide what kind of compost to use to help them to grow healthily. I needed to decide how many and what kind of canes to use in order to help them grow upwards. And I needed to think carefully about the position so that they would get the best amount of sunlight during the day. And I also needed to water them regularly to make sure that they had enough nutrients to grow. And occasionally I needed to give them extra plant food to give them additional ingredients to help them to flourish. And as they grew, I realised that I needed to not only have the canes, but I needed to have ties to tie them onto the canes. Otherwise, they tended to grow horizontally rather than vertically. And when they started to flower, I learned that it was very important to cut them immediately to promote new flower growth. I enjoyed the challenge of all of this, and as I did this, I came to the conclusion that the sweet peas were very much like a parable of my own Christian walk. The compost was similar to my own environment, and I needed to consider, was it best suited for my spiritual flourishing? The canes were like the support mechanisms in my life. Were they the right ones? And was I tying myself into these in order to grow spiritually? And the positioning for the best sunlight and the watering were the sort of daily spiritual inputs to help me to grow healthily. And I wondered what kind of things I was doing each day that helped me to grow. And then the plant food symbolised something a little less regular, but perhaps a deeper, more powerful spiritual input. What was I doing on that front? And then when it came to the flowering, actually seeing things happen in my life, was I prepared to let go and not hold on to the fruits of my spiritual growth? Last spring and summer, as I looked after the sweet peas, I trusted that if I persevered, there would be a beautiful harvest. And there was in time. And I think the same thing is true for me spiritually, and I would suggest also for you spiritually, if we persevere. Both of the situations involved considerable input from me, but then there was the rather amazing additional aspect, which is that God was the one who made the seed grow.